Did you know your business can honor God while transforming lives around the world? Welcome to the IBAM Biblical Entrepreneurship Show, the weekly podcast that inspires and equips Christian entrepreneurs to build sustainable businesses that glorify God and uplift impoverished communities. At IBAM, our mission is built on the three fish metaphor. Give a fish. We provide startup loans to launch businesses. Teach to fish. We offer entrepreneur training for lasting growth, equipped for discipleship. We empower discipleship to multiply impact. Join IBAM's founder Steve Adams as he shares powerful solo episodes and expert interviews filled with mentorship insights and real-life stories of how biblical entrepreneurship is advancing the Great Commission. Subscribe now and get ready to be inspired, equipped, and empowered to make an eternal impact.
Hi, my name is Steve Adams. I am the founder of EGRO, and the purpose of this series of 4 videos is to take the experience and the knowledge that I got when I was a young man as a corporate banker, as a loan officer to businesses here in the United States, and share that with you so as to help our partners better manage their loans in their loan fund, okay? You know, when we started IBAM and EGRO years ago, the goal was we wanted to come alongside our partners and help them accelerate their vision to reach people for Christ. And we wanted to do that through business. And the idea was that if we could help individual believers and their families get into business, learn how to do business God's way, and to have a kingdom business vision with their business, meaning it's not all about them, it's really serving the Lord through their business, that would have a positive impact on the overall vision that the national leader or regional leaders had to reach people for Christ. And so we've been working at this since 2004. And we have evolved into a model where our goal from in America is to work with a new partner, train them up in our process, and then empower them without us to run that process. And then our long-term role in this arrangement with you is to raise money from donors around the world, put money into your loan fund, and then be a consultant with you, coming alongside you to help you grow your loan fund, make sure that your students are trained properly, that they pay back their loans, and that you can use that money again and again and again to help each new generation of entrepreneur get started doing business God's way. So that's kind of an overview. Look, I'm going to take my time, have fun with this. I've got notes in front of me so that I make sure I cover everything. But what we're doing fundamentally is we are forming a partnership to bring training and capital to local leaders like you engaged in disciple making for the purpose of starting or expanding businesses in your local communities and villages, okay? Why are we doing that? What is the problem that EGRO is solving? Well, number one, we want to strengthen the long-term sustainability of families, also of disciple-making movements, okay? And we don't tell you what type of disciple-making to do. We simply want to see evidence that you have that built into your ministry model locally, okay? And it looks different. We have partners today in Indonesia, in Sub-Saharan Africa, and in Central Asia. And all 3 of them have uniquely different models and approaches, but they all work, okay? And we come alongside that and encourage it. But one thing that we have found over the past 20 plus years is that movements around the world are too dependent upon donations, okay? And now, I'm not suggesting that there will be an end to donations. That's not it at all. God's people give, and God directs that money around the world. What we're saying is that we we see when donations fall off, the work suffers. So if we can bring an alternative that works side by side with donations, provides maybe a little stabilizing effect, and that also gives believers a platform to be out there engaging in their communities. We find in the Muslim world that Muslim people who came out of Islam and became a Christian, who became a believer, a follower of Jesus, faced many obstacles and challenges and persecutions by their families and by their culture that they came from. And often that means losing jobs. And so one of the things that surprised me 20 years ago was how the Muslim community re-embraces you when you have a business. And so that's one of the reasons we do this. Our goal is to equip believers to do business God's way so that they become local leaders in their churches and in their communities, and that they solve problems that entrepreneurs are uniquely equipped to solve, okay? And provide leadership. We believe and have seen that as entrepreneurs are raised up, these movements are strengthened and are stronger long term, okay? How do we do this? Well, as I said earlier, we raise money from donors that come into our U.S. Organization called IBAM, okay? Our international organization is called EGRO, okay? And we do that for your security. So then what we do is we take the money from IBAM and we grant it, meaning give it away to your organization, say in Africa, and that money goes into a separate bank account within that organization in Africa. And then as students are raised up and loans are approved, that comes from the Africa Fund to African students. And we learned long ago that that was a much better structure because there is the desire of local students to pay back the money more when it comes from what they perceive as money locally. And it truly is coming from local, all right? But that's how that works. And then as they pay it back, the goal is for that money to then be recycled, to be reused and loaned back out again to the next person and the next person and the next person. And the motivation we always tell the person receiving the money is pay this forward to the next person. So be diligent, work as if you're working for God, and pay that money back and help that next person realize the calling God has on their life as well. Okay, so that's kind of how it works. And so, again, our role then is to raise this money, get it to you, you manage it and steward it really well. And then what we do long term, besides raising the money, is we are consultants who have done this all over the world. We help you do it better in your country. But at the end of the day, it is your leadership that's going to make this work. We're merely here to support you. Okay, so what I'm doing in these videos is I want to help you manage your loan fund better, more efficiently, more effectively, so that you can reuse more of the funds to each new group of entrepreneurs rather than lose the money. Okay, there's no reason for you to relearn all of the mistakes that I've made in my 14-year banking career and then the 21 years that I've been doing international microcredit. Okay, learn from these mistakes. Okay, don't make them again. All right, so that's what the purpose of these videos are. Okay, so with all of that being said, let's talk about I think there's seven major principles that we teach about making loans to believers in local communities, okay? Number one, make many small loans, not fewer larger loans, okay? We learned this the hard way over the years. Many of you complain about our $1,000 US maximum loan that we'll make. And the reason we do that is we want to take, say, $10,000, and it's better to cut that up into 10 to 15 customers, or not customers, 10 to 15 new entrepreneurs or existing entrepreneurs than it is to give two people $5,000 each. Okay, we're spreading the risk out. Okay, so that's one thing. Secondly, I can start 10 businesses in Texas where I live for $1,000 in the United States. So I don't want to hear from you that you can't do the same. And almost everywhere in the world, things cost less than they do in the US that we work. Like, we're not working in Tokyo and Beijing and Paris and London where things are the same or more expensive. We're working in places where everything's cheaper. Okay, so the way you achieve that is that what we have said is we are only going to loan money on service businesses. Okay, we don't loan money to start sandwich shops and coffee shops and little stores that are product businesses. Those fail at an alarmingly high rate. Okay, and so do not approve loans like that in your country. Okay, focus on services. Okay, somebody fixes a car, or they repair bicycles, or they clean helmets and shoes. Okay, or they run a marketing agency and provide services that way, or they clean carpets, or they clean windows, or they clean houses or businesses. When you have to go out and sell a service and then go fulfill it, that gets you out in front of people. It requires very little capital, maybe a few tools, and it really comes down on your personal character to go out and finish the business. And what we have found is those businesses almost all pay back. All right, so that is really, really important, is make many small loans, make loans on service businesses. This is all part of the first one of make many small loans, not a few larger loans. Okay, so that could be it could be its own separate category actually, but make smaller loans and make only service business loans. All right, and that will help you get off to a much better start. Okay, the second principle is only loan money to people that you know and that you know have godly character. Okay, one of the things we learned in the US when I was a banker is it doesn't matter how much I lawyer up and use attorneys and have the perfect agreements. If I'm working with someone with poor character, I'm going to lose money on that person every time. Doesn't matter. All right, so just don't waste your time making loans to people who have not demonstrated character. Now, let me qualify that. Somebody could have been a prostitute, could have been imprisoned for theft. They come to Jesus, they find the grace of Jesus, and they've turned over a new life. Don't judge them on their past, judge them on their life after they became a believer. Now, what I would tell you is don't make a loan to that person 2 weeks after they became a follower of Jesus. They need to demonstrate to the local church, to leadership, that they have truly made change, because none of us have godly character right away after becoming a believer. It's a lifelong journey, okay? So you have to make loans to people who have a demonstrated good character, who are followers of Jesus. That doesn't mean they're without sin, because no one is. That doesn't mean they don't make mistakes. Everybody does. But that the trajectory of their life is this generally improving. They have a settled intention in their heart to follow Jesus and to follow his word, okay, and obey his word. That's the standard. That's what you want to do. Number 3, I will encourage you, the shorter the repayment period, the better. All right. Most of the businesses that are service businesses can be paid back in less than 2 years. And I always favor 1-year loans. And so this is why our loan fee, we don't charge interest, we charge a fee based on how long the loan is, okay? Now, lest you think that's some greedy American thing, okay, I'm smiling, it's a joke. Our partners in Africa came up with this idea and we adopted it worldwide. And that is, for a 1-year loan, it's a 10% loan fee. For a 2-year loan, it's a 20% loan fee. And for a 3-year loan, it's a 30% loan fee, and we do not go beyond 3 years. Okay. And what's interesting is most of our product-driven businesses, like little manufacturing businesses, restaurants, cafes, stores, they required 4 or 5 years to make it work. And that's where all of our problems were. When you make a service business, most of those businesses can pay that loan back in a year to 2 years. And that the shorter the repayment, the lower the risk of the loan. Okay. And you also can turn more loans, get more loan fees to help replace. Occasionally, when a loan fails, you can replace it. All right. So with the money that you lost. Number 4, this is really important. And this is why EGRO is much better in an urban setting, in cities, larger areas where there's computers and people are educated. What we do at IBAM and EGRO is really not equipped for the bush. It's not equipped for extreme rural areas where it's extreme poverty. There's other models for that, okay? And what I would encourage you is in countries that have Hope International, that's a better model for those extreme lack of education and sophistication models. That's typically people will borrow very small amounts, $10, $20, and they borrow in a group setting, and it's a group model where they work together and pay back as a group, okay? So when you think about IBAM, you think about cities and urban areas, okay? Because this 4th requirement is people need to do financial records every month and turn them into their coach, into the administrator. And they need to be logged in that they are in BizTools. Okay. And if you're not willing to do that, stop right here and don't do this, because when people have to show their results every month, they do better than people who don't do that. Okay. Because they make little adjustments every month. They listen to their business like we talk about in our curriculum. Okay. Concept and principle number 5, be proactive with any problems, okay? When a student is struggling to pay. Here's the universal truth in banking. When people have problems, they hide from their banker. They hide because they're embarrassed. They have shame. They're fearful. They're worried you're going to, do something drastic and their business will fail. That's not what we do, okay? Early intervention is best. When you can know right away that there's a problem, just go sit, have coffee with them. Tell them you love them. Tell them, be open with us. Tell us the truth. What can we do to help you, and come alongside them? And we've built tools and BizTools where you can skip payments. You can do different things to work with them, to give them the time to make corrections. Because what I've learned in 40 years in business is most problems are common, just like most sins are common to man. Most problems in business are common to entrepreneurs, and people with some experience can come around them and help shorten their learning curve, and you can get through the problems, okay? Because listen, if you did your homework and your research well, they went through loan committee, they had to subject their idea to lots of wisdom, and we know in scripture and Proverbs that plans succeed through many advisors. The big reasons why people fail usually get vetted out, all right? So now it's more of how they're managing their time, how they're using their money, some of these basic silly things that you can fix, okay? So early intervention is key. Number 6, train your master trainers how to do the homework and the business planning process with excellence, okay? So taking them through phase 1 training, having the trainer make them do it on video just to get an idea, then taking them one-on-one through over a 4 to 6 month period, having them go do real research, not just check the box, but actually do the work, talk to potential customers, talk to government officials or tax attorneys or accountants, whoever they have to talk to, doing that with excellence, creating a really good business plan that gets subjected to the loan committee process. That alone will cut down on the number of problems that you have. Okay, because master trainers really are becoming loan officers. Okay, we don't talk about that very much, but that's in reality what they're becoming. When you sit with somebody and work with them for 6 months or a year and then help them get a loan approved, that's what loan officers do. So maybe using that verbiage and helping them understand this is what you're doing, you are actually becoming part of our Kingdom Bank loan officer. It's a kind of a cool opportunity if you think about it, because we're empowering believers within local communities, okay, who don't have access maybe to the traditional banking system. All right, and finally, number 7, this is really important as well. Concentrate loaning money in one area until you achieve a larger number of success stories before moving to the next area, okay? Get a group of trainers who have worked together in a loan committee that has experience working together and have some wins before you go take on that next bigger area further away where you don't know the people. Now you've got to, in a way, start all over, because you have to build up local master trainers. You got to build up local leadership. All right. Now you know them from ministry, but you've got to train them in the business process, and there's going to be problems for a while. So if you have a strong core base close by, and then you build off from there, that makes sense. Okay. Listen, one of the things I'll tell you is one of my first bank presidents that I worked for way back in the 1980s, famous guy, said, if something grows like a weed, it's probably a weed and it's going to die easily. Okay? So banking and catalyzing or helping people get into business, this is a quality ministry. This is not a speed ministry. You cannot speed this up. All right. We like to say in the U.S., you can't microwave results. You have to slow cook them. Okay. So you can train a lot of people. Okay. You can do that fast. But the minute you start loaning money, this is a quality thing. And if you want your local loan fund to grow and to help generations and generations of believers, you have to focus on getting paid back 9 times out of 10. You cannot fail 4 times out of 10, because for me, I will not have the integrity with my donors in the United States and with our donors, not my donors, to give you more money. And then you'll run out of money and then it's over with. So you are better off going slow, learning, emphasizing quality, bringing your best people in, and insisting that they follow the process, insisting that your trainers follow the process. That's the whole role of the administrator. In every partnership we have an administrator and we have a fund manager, and now we're adding a new training manager. That training manager is going to make sure that you're training people properly. Basically, they're training loan officers. Your fund manager is doing an audit of the fund, making sure that what BizTools says and what the bank accounts say agree, and finding any disparities, because we have to represent to our donors around the world that we are accurately accounting for our results. And then that administrator, their job is to make sure that all trainers are following the process in BizTools. Listen, this BizTools is a tool that we worked on for 20 years. Okay, if you follow it, this process works and you will have success, and in time, you will be able to help more and more people. Okay, so you have to play the long game. You have to think long term. Okay, in the Bible, in the Old Testament, they talk about tamarisk trees. And these tamarisk trees don't produce fruit for 80 years. That's the kind of long-term orientation I want. This is not going to solve a problem next month. So when you became a partner of IBAM, we talked about that right up front. That think about this as a long-term strategy that's going to come alongside your disciple-making vision, and they're going to make each other stronger in the long run. At the end of the day, I hope you can rewind and replay this many times as you train loan officers, have them watch it, and build these 7 principles into how they think. And God bless you, and thank you for being our partner.
Thank you for listening to the International Business as Mission podcast. a space where we explore how to build businesses rooted in biblical principles that create global impact. But we're not just here to talk. We're taking action to spread entrepreneurship to poverty-stricken communities around the world. Our mission is to be the catalyst that empowers people to build sustainable livelihoods and break the cycle of poverty. We follow the 3 fish principle. 1. Give a fish, providing startup loans to empower entrepreneurs. 2. Teach to fish, offering entrepreneurial training for sustainable business practices. And 3. Equip for disciple-making, building a community that supports spiritual growth alongside business success. This is life-changing work, but we can't do it alone. We need passionate impact partners like you to join us on this mission by becoming a donor. Your generous gift will directly fund the establishment of new businesses that provide dignified work and hope. Just imagine your donation could help a single mother in rural Africa start a small farming venture that allows her to feed her children and send them to school, or a young man in Southeast Asia to launch a small business. Breaking the chains of generational poverty. This is the power of entrepreneurship as a force for good. Will you join us in unleashing it? Go to IBAM.org now to start impacting lives through the transformative power of business as mission. Together we can create a world of flourishing.